Hello, my friends, Evolutionary Energy Arts family. I see we have a raven in the house, and I well, wasn't intending to go live, but it's like, ooh, this is really very, very curious. So I think we need to just bring this up and not scare anybody, but it's just curious.
Yeah, it's curious. Don't want to scare people, but the I, this is a Geiger counter, and right now it's at 26 CPMs. I don't know what that means. And a caution would be like 50
So
and
we're
up.
we're good here. So we have a Geiger counter here to read it, so you could actually hear it going right now. And we're good here, and we are in the West. Um, but it's curious because there are definitely elevated levels. So I saw this out of strange sounds. And here you could read what it says. It's talking about false flags. Big question mark, what's up? November 3rd and all. Well, a lot of people were talking about November 3rd. And, it's just very interesting and curious. So, radiation levels in several large Western cities are spiking today. Actually, there's quite a few. The radiation level is up quite a bit in quite a few different cities. And so I don't follow this regularly. I've looked at this from time to time. And these
Sorry.
these readings do appear to be pretty high. So rumors of a pending false flag, and you could see the words here, in the western U.S. tomorrow, November 3rd, have floated to the internet. And most of these dates, that people talk about, never anything ever happens. That's kind of how it usually goes. Of course, 911 was a totally different deal, and there was a few people that had mentioned that date and knew that was coming. So over here, while most folks discount the rumors as just wild-eyed conspiracy theories, radiation levels in several large western U.S. cities have spiked today, which is curious. So, what is going on here? You see, the United States Air Force has launched a Constant Phoenix aircraft this morning in the western USA. That aircraft's sole function is to sniff the air for nuclear material relating to a nuclear explosive. Maybe something really is up with this persistent rumor about a false flag attack in the western U.S. tomorrow, which is today now. So according to the NETC, this is the Nuclear Emergency Tracking Center, radiation levels in Spokane, Washington, or Spokane, right? Is that Spokane?
It's Spokane.
Spokane! Spokane. Well, if it's Spokane, why is there an E? That E doesn't belong there.
He does have a point, you guys.
Yeah. Corvallis, Oregon. Yeah, see, I don't say Oregon anymore. I used to say that too. San Francisco. Hey, I'm from New England, guys. People talk funny in New England. San Francisco, California, Salt Lake City, Utah, and Phoenix have spiked above the typical 3-month average. And there's more than that too. So here's the actual site. We were just looking, and you could see Phoenix, for instance, even Las Vegas. If you're looking at basically, this is what we're looking at over here. So if you see green and yellow, it's just background. That's normal. Then we see the black with the yellow over here, and that's rising. And then you see the red over here, and this is elevated levels, and this is up above that. This is when you're getting to points of concern. And so we actually have a little nuclear radiation safety guide that came with the Geiger counter. And it basically says if you're between 5 and 50, you're good. That's normal background. No action needed. If you're between 51 and 99, it's a medium level. Check the reading regularly. If you are at greater than 100, right? Greater than 100 is a high level. Closely watch the reading and find out why. And then if you're at greater than 1,000, very high, leave the area immediately and find out why. Well, over here in Phoenix right now, you're at 392. So, that's pretty high. It says the average has been 280. And, this is curious. We know that we have some cosmic rays coming in. We've been talking about that. And, there's a lot of things going on. But here, you see Phoenix is at 392. So that's very high. Vegas is currently 189. So that's slightly elevated. When we see over here, you're at 343 over in Anaheim right now. And you're at 340 over in San Bernardino. Now we go and we take a peek at San Jose, 226. Sacramento, 186. Reno, Nevada's 391 right now. So that's pretty high too. 208 over in Eureka, California. 291 over here in Corvallis, Oregon. 339 in Portland. Spokane is at 430. So that's the biggest one we got yet. Now we're showing Seattle at currently 110. And we have Olympia at 158. Of course, the rumors were for something that happened in Seattle, but right now in Spokane, that's the biggest reading that we're seeing. And it's not just there. If we look out over here, 481. Okay, this is the biggest one. Grand Junction, Colorado. 481. I mean, that's getting up there. According to what I have here, as far as, the card that comes with the Geiger counter says it's very high. Watch the reading and find out why. So, 481. Let's look over here. 382 in Albuquerque. 550 in South Valley, New Mexico. 327 El Paso. And 201 in Carlsbad. Now let's see what they're saying here. So, yeah, they obviously over here in South Valley, New Mexico, their average is 345. So that's kind of high for an average, for sure. And, you got to wonder, with all the tests that have been done over the years, what's that doing to people as well? So I see we have some people in there. Oh, yeah, there's a lot more comments that aren't showing there. Okay, it's taking a little while to come back.
So I'm curious, does this show, how has it been in the past few days? Can we pull up the history on this? And I'm just curious, what have we been exposed to in the last week? If there's a way to go back and look at anything. It's definitely curious, and I've heard things thrown around November 3rd. I don't like to look at dates like that, but it is coincidence. So
you have to you have to register.
Oh, okay. We got to register.
And stuff.
Yeah.
So,
I see.
I mean, we could see too in some other areas, they have what they would consider elevated levels too.
And some people are thinking maybe there's the winds from the Fukushima. Could that be kind of blowing things up a little bit? Blowing up the dust, maybe?
I don't know. I mean, Fukushima, I don't know. If it would hit these areas so randomly,
it's pretty random.
It is pretty random.
Yeah.
It's very curious. So two of the biggest readings we have, is Albuquerque, New Mexico, which, just in over here, South Valley, New Mexico, just thinking about the main thoroughfares, I wonder if this has anything to do with moving nuclear waste, Is there some big government program going on right now moving nuclear waste? I wonder if there's main thoroughfares to go through. I know Albuquerque has.
Melissa White, she says there's an article stating the government has okayed the release of Fukushima waste going back into the sea. Well, isn't that nice of them to just let the waste go back into the sea? Why can't we park it on their front lawn? That's a little bit sad to do to Mother Earth like that. Just create all this problem and then shove it into the sea, and it brings you back to thinking about terraforming the earth. It's not being terraformed for us, that's for sure.
I know. Exactly. There's a lot of thoughts to that, but so many people were talking, and I didn't really jump on the bandwagon with covering this because there's been so many dates where things come and go. But you can see here many people talking about a false flag event on 11/3, and is it going to be the next 9/11?
Yeah. I mean, anything could happen. We need to. I don't think we're going to be tricked like we were ever again, but there's still, like, a lot of people before 9/11, they weren't tricked. They knew what was going on. And I think now, 9/11 was a wake-up call for the rest of us. And it would be a crying shame if they did dump that Fukushima waste into the ocean. What are they thinking? And it just goes back to, are they even human? I don't think they're human, the ones that rule.
No, I agree. Totally. It just feels like, what type of humans could do these things? I know I couldn't. Not to the planet, not to each other. If, like, I had long thought, like, if there was a war, knowing what I know, I mean, I'd have to be a conscientious objector. There's no way I would participate in these corporate wars.
No.
Not at all. Even if it's, a false flag event. I mean, if people are on, if we have soldiers on our soil and they are actually invading us, then it's different. Then you got to defend your family and your live ones, obviously. But as far as, what we've seen with the way things are going. So, yeah, Dave Lewis, we have Remembrance Day coming up, 11th hour, 11th day, 11th month, 3/3. Earth 8 concert. Good to see you as well. Good to see everybody. And somebody was agreeing with Stack. I didn't see what Stack had said.
I'm glad we're on today, you guys. It's like Sunday morning, and I don't go to church or anything, but this is really cool to see everybody here. I love your guys' energy. You're just really awesome. So I don't know. It is Sunday morning, right? Yeah.
It is.
And remember and we're together. This is great.
Remember, daylight savings time ended.
Yes, and we fell back, right? So
we did.
That's always nice. I always liked falling back. I hated when I had to work graveyards, though, and they had to take it back an hour. So yeah, we had to pick up that extra hour. Do you remember having to do that? You never worked graveyard?
Oh yeah, I've worked every shift.
Yeah. That stinks when they have the I always like to jump forward. Anyways, I'm getting off topic. Sorry, guys. Hi, Swiftbird. Hi, Cassie Abram. Hi, Thor. Hi, Terry Brown. Wailing Jesus is coming. Hello, Melissa White, Majestic Angel. It's so nice to have you guys here. I'm just happy to have people on Sunday. This is fun.
All right, so Raven's talking about prevailing winds, fuel rod storage is in the valley above Ridgecrest. Earthquakes could have created issues. Good to see you, Joe Free, as well. And, that was interesting, too, because one of the first things I always look at is the earthquakes going on today. And let's just switch this over to map view. It just annoys me on the grayscale. And I was zoning in on, like, the Ridgecrest area. As we see, we have a decent amount of activity. You see a lot of swarming over in Oklahoma, again, as usual. Vegas, there's some quakes over here, but when we went and looked at the Ridgecrest area, you see there's still that huge line. You got 84 And whether this is still ongoing battles between ETs and the deep underground military bases, or white hats flushing out black hats, or
Yeah.
quakes, or
I do
who
not
knows.
believe that those are earthquakes. I don't. It's just too happenstance to be on the right on the military base.
Well, Raven was talking about fuel cells just south, and I was noticing that today there seemed to be a little bit more concentration of them right over through here. And we went through here, if you remember, driving right through. I remember Trona Road, heading south here, and also going through the other time. So, and I remember this area so well. And, so it just seemed like there was an interesting concentration of them over here. And Raven happened to be talking about the fuel cells there in storage. We don't know what really happened with that. There are some people that think that was a Chinese attack on us, as far as an attack on the military base there. So who knows really? And I've shared with you guys the instant when Tesla was playing with his little earthquake machine in New York and caused an earthquake. This is way back. This is over 100 years ago. So, what type of technology do we have? Can we do that? I think we could, most definitely. Ruse says, powering up a collider. There could be, and I've heard people talk about there being other CERNs, or Large Hadron Colliders in other locations as well. There could be, dozens of them all over. Who knows, really, in these top secret underground bases. The butterfly effect.
What is that? What is the butterfly effect?
Oh, well, that's basically it's where a series of events start. It's
butterfly flaps its wings, it's frozen.
Exactly. It's just this chain reaction going on.
I've seen that a couple places in here that people, we're supposed to adhere to a script. And hopefully most of us are healthy enough and strong enough to be on our own a little bit so that we don't have any needs from the government. Right now we're at 32.
Yeah. So our radiation level here is low, thankfully, and that's a good thing. But it's amazing. So we're at 28, right? CPM. And if we look at this map and we go back, let's go back to Phoenix, for instance. They're at 392.
Wow.
That's pretty high. So, is this, and again, we'll look at Spokane. Spokane.
Yeah, Spokane.
430. So that's pretty high. Does it mean anything? I don't know. That's the bottom line. I've seen this map before. I've looked at it in the past. I don't remember seeing this many dark circles like this that are indicating pretty highly elevated numbers. Mostly it was always towards the green. I remember every here and there we would have a little blip, like you see a little blip over here. This is over towards Delaware.
Yeah, Ruby's saying could CERNs be modern pyramids? I'd be curious to know if they fall on the ley lines. That is curious. I'm not sure how to, if we could overlay a map of the ley lines on top of that. That would be fun.
Well, as you could see, this is what you want to have is the green and yellow. And there's most definitely then the red. Here is a step up. See again, green and yellow. Then you go to this yellow and black. And then you go to the yellow and red. And then you go to this ugly color. And so, at these locations, there's very high readings going on right now.
So what do people do with if there's high radiation in the air? I mean, is it as simple as truly taking a little iodine?
Well, I'd be curious to follow, these areas and people with thyroid disease, because, the thyroid is what gets overwhelmed by the radiation.
all the
and
toxic. Yeah. Wow.
and if it is something that's cosmic in origin, right? Why would certain areas be so elevated and others not?
It does seem quite targeted.
If it was Fukushima, same thing. Fukushima radiation coming over. Why is it elevated all the way in here, to like 550 and not on the coast? So, I don't know. I don't have the answer. I don't know if anybody out there has a lot more knowledge of this. Yeah, nuclear reactors too. What nuclear reactors are around? But as you can see, there's way more. And part of the reason why it came west, really was the fact that even in the mountains of North Carolina, which I felt fairly safe, there's just so many nuclear reactors everywhere. And I do think the grid's going down at some point. I think we've been warned about that enough that we know it's coming. Whether it's coming because of the grand solar minimum and we're going to have a big CME or, a nova, let's hope not. At some point the grid's going down, and are they going to be able to manage shutting down all these reactors in time and in such a way?
Yeah, nice and quietly and in order.
I don't think so. I honestly, so that's part of why I decided to, do the Western thing, but also it was just basically intuition and just the way things kind of broke down as far as timing with meeting certain individuals. And, it just worked out that way. But I would think too that, if it was, these are the older, for the most part, the older ones are on the eastern coast, and I don't know. Is there a lot of coincidental leaks going on? I don't think so. I don't know. I have no explanation for this. All that it is there's definitely something a little unusual going on there.
Yeah, and also there's a lot of, I like to talk about planets and stuff. People have mentioned the planet lineup and, cosmic rays. I know it is a little too pointed to be cosmic rays, but that's my favorite thought that it could be. I don't want to think that it's anything really nasty. But we don't know what we don't know. What is that?
So Enoch Metatron says, Radcon 5 alert right now over the center of San Francisco downtown.
Really? Can you look that up? Do you have a link to that? Wow, that's kind of creepy. Thanks for showing up, you guys. This is really awesome. Such short notice too on a Sunday morning. It's I don't really go to church. No, actually, I don't go to church, but it is nice to get with people.
That's an ATC.
Yeah.
Old.
Okay.
2 years ago. You know what? There is the, what was the name of that map? I'm trying to think of the name of that map that shows.
Hi, Shannon. Let's see. No, thanks. I like that name. Hi, Swiftbird. Hi, Stack. Hi, Enoch Metatron. Hi, David Lewis. I just like to say hi to you guys. You guys are great. While we're figuring out what we're going to pull up next.
Yeah,
because we're trying to get a handle on what's going on here, really. We didn't do any preparation. Hi, Mary Jane. Hi, Brenda. Hi, Majestic Angel. You guys are great.
So, recap that if you want, sweetie.
False flag nuke attack in the western U.S. on November 3rd. Radiation levels in several large western U.S. cities are spiking today. Yeah.
So that's basically what we're talking about. We had all the rumors of the, Seattle potentially 11.3 that were out there. And then coincidentally today we see that there's like these really elevated radiation readings coming in from some locations. So you gotta wonder. And, you have been awake for how long now, Cindy?
Awake, I would say 2013.
Okay, so I remember going way back to the breakup of the Soviet Union and people saying that there's missing suitcase bombs, suitcase nukes. And there were all those rumors, like right after 9/11, that the next one would be with those suitcase nukes that, so happened to go missing as the Soviet Union broke up. And those of us that are, really suspicious of everything and perhaps even think the breakup of the Soviet Union was part of the bigger plan going on, this could be part of that. So we'll see. Okay, we see it's of note. San Francisco has now tied its high radiation reading. Phoenix is just 2 points short of tying its high. And so these spikes in radioactivity could be caused by natural causes. So we'll have to see. Yeah, it's really interesting that you see these numbers going up. And this over here again, this is the Nuclear Emergency Tracking Center. So, this is where you want to go if there's anything up. And so if there is anything going on, obviously we want to let you guys know about it.
We do. And, there's always little precautions you can take, except for just, we don't want anybody to panic. Nothing like that. It's just super curious. And I think after maybe I'll create an account on here and go back and look at the history, because I'm super curious about the history of all of this. And they sent a sniffer plane out to go around and see how these places are, or which places are spiking still. So I'm wondering, how often do they update this map? Is this daily? Is this from yesterday? It's I don't know. Do they update it every hour? I don't know yet. This is just, I've never been to this website before. I don't know. Does anybody in the house know anything about this website? Can't read.
So this is again is the Nuclear Emergency Tracking Center, NETC.com. And I will just do a little cut and paste so everybody can join us there, and we'll crash it. Right? That's just what we need right now. Yeah, so it's Joffrey says he's losing us. It looks like we have a good healthy stream right now, which is good. California wildfires started, lava, magma flows breaking ground. So if I know Raven, and definitely he keeps up on a lot of stuff. So when I was talking about the bombs that went missing, Raven says actually as many as 10 U.S. nukes missing, 6 confirmed, and detonators were stolen from a base in Cali to make them ground-based. And then he goes on, 4 were signed off U.S. Air Force Base, vanished in North Carolina around CIA operations. Yeah, there was a 208 reading in Eureka. As Stack says, question everything. Yeah. I think a lot of times when we hear a date or something, it doesn't happen, but then something else might happen big, shortly thereafter. So we don't really know, but at the same time, and we want to keep our eyes open.
Okay. Donnie Newcomer says that we can animate this screen on Google Map and show the last 48 hours of radiation levels. We'll look into that. I don't know how to do that right now.
So, yeah, I'm not sure if they cover Alaska. Let's see. Yeah, they do cover Alaska. Okay. So, it's not at that same level up in Alaska either. You could see, this one over here, current 90. That's all green over in Canada. Over here in Hawaii, 86. Dominican Republic, 15. Pretty clear down there. Okay, so you can see there are some over here that we can look at even in Japan. So if
It
if
says blue button at bottom of the map
oh,
to
animate.
animate.
Okay, cool.
Thank you.
So guys, I mean, if it was Fukushima, the readings there are way less than the readings we have.
They are. That's
You
kind
know?
of creepy.
So I don't think we are looking at anything related to Fukushima. You know? Yeah, 42 over here. And I'm looking at some of the ones that are showing that they're a little bit more elevated, 47. Yeah, these are all low.
Huh.
42, 47. So we come over here, and like I said, look at that one in New Mexico, 550. That's like, wow, So what do you think?
I don't know. Calvin says UFOs landing. I don't know. Maybe. And I just want to say a big thank you to Donnie Newcomer. Thanks for showing us how to use that.
Well,
wow.
Maybe.
Inner Earth. Sweetgrass says Inner Earth. Maybe they're coming up. That would be fun, wouldn't it? That'd be fabulous. Okay, so you click the animate, and this is for the last 48 hours.
Yep.
Okay, so they're in the... These are the lighter ones, right?
Yeah, look at... See, you're not seeing a lot of dark over here.
No, you're not. God, it's like my throat chakra is being attacked.
Yeah. You had a little blip over here. That was curious. A little blip in the east over there. What is this? Yeah, I wish I could... All right, maybe I need to pause this or something. But there was one little blip over on the east. But you can see where we're at now. This has all just come up.
Yeah, this just sort of all came up. So we'll just keep an eye on it. And I don't know if iodine really helps. Maybe I'll be sipping on that today.
Yeah, it does. It does help.
But then again, I'm curious because, like, if radiation causes problems, then why do they give cancer patients radiation? That's just another thing.
I know. Hey, that's part of the system. So Richard Turner says 550 in New Mexico. Is that Los Alamos? It's not the same area. Los Alamos is north of Santa Fe from what I remember, and this is south. Let's see here.
He's going to pull that up. You guys are stuck with me for the moment while he's looking that up.
Yeah, so that's Albuquerque's got a 382, right? Over here, 550. This is South Valley. Los Alamos is up here. It's to the north west of Santa Fe. So it's not that.
Oh, that's good to know, Sweetgrass. Thank you. If you have hyperthyroid issues, you must be very careful with iodine. I suggest everybody do their own research when you're doing that. This is very important. Very, very important. And you learn something too, and you can help your friends that way too. So what do we got?
So you see, Los Alamos is northwest of Santa Fe. The reading's coming down below. It's south of Albuquerque. Now Albuquerque, because I've done this before, going west, it's a major thoroughfare. So I was just wondering if, do you think some of these things are perhaps, mobile? I was wondering if, again, are they moving nuclear waste, or somebody moving nuclear waste? Because, these readings didn't, as we were looking at the map the last 48 hours, they weren't there, 48 hours ago. So that's the curious thing, too.
Thank you, Chris Kringle. Low iodine sea kelp tabs is fine. I can see that, where that would be okay. Anything you can eat. I think our medicine is the food that we eat. And we're fasting today. So I always I'm looking forward to fasting now. I think it's really good for our brains. What do we got there? 481. Grand Junction. Maybe testing 5G. It might be. I don't know. And Swiftbird, are they slowly activating little EMP bombs? I hope not.
Okay, so I forget who it was. I think it was Raven that sent me a link yesterday that was talking about the Nazis in World War II, because you guys know I did a video recently talking about the war machine, and the fact that so much money was made by Ford and GM. It basically supplying both sides during the war. And this video was interesting because it talked about and brought up the fact that the Nazis actually had the bomb before we did, and didn't use it. Yet they did actually fly a mission, went almost all the way over New York City. They were within range of New York City with this bomber that could have been carrying a nuke, and took pictures of New York City from above, just kind of to show that they could have done it, but they didn't do it for whatever reason. Probably because, again, I think everything's kind of, in my opinion, it's all orchestrated, so it's fascinating. But they were also pointing to the fact that they potentially were using what we would call like those bunker buster nukes, smaller ones, over against the Russians on the Eastern Front, because there were, and still are to this day, elevated radiation levels over in some areas over there. So really interesting stuff. Again, our history is so hidden from us. Even just going back as shortly as World War II, the actual details of what really happened is not what we were told. And Dave Lewis sent me one that talks about there are 30,000 particle accelerators in the world. What do they all do? And, maybe it is something like this, some of these locations, maybe there are like CERNs firing up right here at certain locations. And many people speculate that it's all about bringing in interdimensional alien, ET, interdimensional entities. Some would view that as just bringing the demons home.
Yeah, because there's a theory of if you change the ether, it will allow them to come through. Same with changing the ether when we burn sage or we burn smoke, that changes the ether, and they, through physics somehow, I don't know how, it's quite magical to me still, but they have to leave.
So Dakota Fairy says, so this is not normal. No, these are really elevated readings. Again, when we're talking about the readings, you want to have basically between 5 and 50, a reading of CPM between 5 and 50. That's normal. Between 51 and 99 is a medium level, and you should check the reading regularly. When you're greater than 100, that's a high level. And the recommendation is to closely watch the reading and find out why it's elevated over 100. And so we're getting readings that are, we saw a couple of them, like this one right here, 481. That's very high. So over 1,000, leave the area immediately. And so you're halfway there. So having to leave the area immediately, right here basically in Grand Junction, Colorado, and over here also in South Valley, New Mexico, 550. So we have like all-time high readings coming in from quite a few different locations. I mean, if we just look at this color, you're seeing 1, 2, 3, there's 4 locations in New Mexico, there's Phoenix in Arizona. These are very, very elevated readings. This one location over here, Grand Junction, Colorado, and we have Reno coming in at 391. That's really high. And then we have quite a few in California too. So, we have over here in Eureka, 208, 186 over here in Sacramento, and over here in San Jose, you're seeing 226. Now, I'm not seeing the San Francisco location, but there is reports that San Francisco is at a very high level. Over here, Santa Monica. Okay, well, currently that's 29. So that might, some of these might be changing now. Now over here, San Bernardino, 340, and 343 in Anaheim.
Let me see. So, Village, I love your name, Village Idiot Bear. We're on a website called netsea.com. We put the link in there, and this is just what it said. And over the last 48 hours, it has changed. A lot of them were the happy colors, which are the ones that mean there is no concern, and then a few went to the dark red and black where there could be concern. And also, Calvin was asking like, should he close his windows? And I was looking on the website there, and I would think go to the website and there might be things to do. I would hope that they wouldn't just throw this up and not give any information for people as to what to do or not do. You guys, I'm really not sure. We just sort of stumbled on this morning, and we wanted to pull y'all together so we can kind of talk about it and figure this out together. I think basic precaution, I think the most important thing to do right now is just keep an eye on it, really. And send each other a lot of love. I know that the energy works wonders as long as we stay connected, because our energy centers are a lot stronger than they used to be. So sending one another love is, I know maybe it sounds cheesy or corny, I'm sorry, but I do believe it works. I totally, totally believe in it. Send each other love and protection. I think we're going to be okay, you guys. I don't have any imminent sense of anything crazy going wrong. I think there's a little blip in the air, or something might have just bumped these up a little bit, but we're here to report on it and tell you guys, and hopefully we're all going to be fine. I really don't have a sense of fear. This is just super curious, as far as it happens to be November 3rd, and there was some rumors flying around. So now here's what we got. So we're bringing it to you guys. Oh, Brenda Murray, what is the Schumann today? That's a good point. I haven't looked at that just yet.
I'll bring it up in
Michael's going to bring it up in just a moment. We're kind of reading the CPMs. What does CPM stand for, even?
It's one of the ways that they measure it, and I'm sure it's something per million. They haven't explained it. PP, parts per million.
Parts per million.
It's kind of like one of those type of things.
CPM, yeah. I don't know if anybody in there knows what CPM means. That's quartz.
So you see this right here. Like, if you had a reading of 500, it would take 86 days of that reading to increase cancer risk. So these are elevated levels that we're seeing. They're, at 1,000 CPM, you're supposed to get out of the area immediately, is what the recommendation is. And so the highest reading I see so far is a 550. But yeah, they're definitely elevated. So it's something for us to just be aware of, and really question why. And again, why the way that they're so sporadically placed. I mean, look at this. It's kind of an odd pattern. It's kind of got the west a little bit ringed in with these highly elevated levels. And as we had talked about, you see there's there's way more nuclear power plants out here than there is over here. Yeah. But it's just something to be aware of, as we had said. And so this came off of Strange Sounds, and it was talking about that potential false flag event on the 3rd, and just saying that coincidentally there is a spike, in the radiation levels that we're seeing. And the other part of this is this right here. So the U.S. Air Force has launched a Constant Phoenix aircraft this morning in the western U.S., and that aircraft's sole function is to sniff the air for nuclear material relating to a nuclear explosive. So, is that coincidental? And then the Nuclear Emergency Tracking Center. So that's what that link is right there. Mm-hmm. And so according to what we're looking at, elevated radiation levels in Spokane, Corvallis, Oregon, San Francisco, Salt Lake City, Phoenix, Arizona, above the typical 3-month average. And so we're getting a lot of readings that are actually close to all-time highs right now. So it's very curious. And then as we were talking about this, the fact that this was one of the big buzzes out there. And today is 11/3, and some have, basically equated 11/3 with 9/11. And, there's been a lot of videos coming out talking about this. And here we go. Truth or fiction? False flag attack on Seattle. It's a big question. Stay out of downtown Seattle. Potential major nuclear terrorist attack is planned. That's what some are saying. And this has been a buzz. And, the rating here is they think that this is not true. It's, disinformation. But we don't know, and when you get down to it, you have places like, what was that debunker site that they're always saying nothing is true, and I really think that they're just totally...
Yeah, when they say that absolutely nothing is true and everything is garbage, it's just moving the pendulum too far the wrong way, which causes more trouble.
Exactly. So here you see Survival Life. 10 radiation accident survival tips that could save your life. Gather all you need to know. Read whatever you can about it. I actually have a book on it. I bought. I think it's. I think it's the U.S. Army Nuclear Preparedness Manual, and maybe I should go grab that because it's all about that. Because honestly, I felt when I was in North Carolina, it's weird because out here we're so isolated. As I've shared with you, it takes us an hour and a half to drive to the grocery store. So I haven't seen any floods here. I haven't seen anything here. So, it almost feels like there's nothing happening, when being here, where when I was in North Carolina and Florida, I really felt a little bit of that anxiety, like, wow, these earth changes are real, because I could see it. I could see the rain, the floods. It was just intense, the lightning. And we get here, and, out in the middle of the desert, it feels like, there's nothing happening. There's nothing ever happening here. It just feels like, okay, well, was that all a dream? Because if I wasn't doing what I'm doing, if I unplugged, I would think there's nothing going on in the world here. Okay. But I did prepare by getting a nuclear survival book, and I just felt really prepared for that. And I had stocked up on iodine pills, and somebody actually took them from me. And, I won't go into any more detail about that, along with the colloidal silver machine and other things as well. Very disheartening. But yeah, there's a lot of things we need to do. So again, gather all you need to know. Read what you can about radiation. Again, how it spreads, through what platform. It uses your location to the nearest nuclear power plant, most definitely. And that really scared me. I loved, the mountains of North Carolina, beautiful. But we were completely encircled by nuclear power plants. And so it just felt like in these times with the grid, if they tell us it's going to go down and we need to be prepared like they did last December for 6 months, everything we see, you got to get suspicious. And whether it's through an EMP, whether it's through a CME from the sun, we are in the grand solar minimum. It could happen. And, the chances of them shutting them all down, I hope they are able to. Monitor for updates, most definitely. With the use of a NOAA radio, you can be among the first to know if there is any sort of nuclear fallout. Prepare a nuclear survival kit. And, it should also include radiation suit, chemical gas masks, potassium iodide tablets, Radiac wash towelettes also. Protect your electronic equipment, Faraday cages, guys. In case it is a EMP or something like that, chances are we're going to lose our cars unless you have like maybe a 1963 Corvette in the backyard or something like that, or an old truck that doesn't have any computer chips in it. Those vehicles will survive. Sheltering in place. This is the most important thing. Sheltering in place, hunker down instead of rushing out and exposing yourself. And again, masking tape, plastic, Those type of things. Learn how to seal your windows, doors, ventilation, and other gaps with duct tape and plastic sheeting. Air filter machine will help clear the air from the outside in order to make it safer. Decontaminate, again, get out of anything that you think could be contaminated. Stock up on food and water. Have a bug out vehicle ready. And, again, the bug out vehicle, again, if it's, a newer car with a computer chip and it is an EMP, it probably ain't going to work. And then bugging out and, have a plan and the location in mind. So those are some tips. I have all the links up for you guys. Here you see again, 7 tips for surviving radiation exposure. And, having the potassium iodine is definitely something we should all have on hand just in case. They're not too expensive. And it's just, again, it's like buying an insurance plan. Yeah.
It is. So some people did say in here that suspicious observers said that the radiation might be a little bit higher. We might have some cosmic rays coming in, and that could very well be plausible. But the only problem with that I personally have with that is how pointed it is. I would think that the cosmic rays coming in, it would be more of a blanket. But then again, I don't know how that stuff works.
Well, the other thing I think about too is like at higher elevations, you will get more exposure, right? I mean, would you guys agree?
That makes sense.
Higher elevations, I think you would have more exposure. And, Phoenix is elevated, but it's not that high up, that's part of it as well. So I did hear about that, about the cosmic rays coming in, most definitely. And so some of these areas, I don't know. I just don't. I wonder why you would have such a variance in readings, like 26 over here in Naco, Arizona. That's very low. And then it's so elevated in El Paso, 327. Vegas is at 189 currently. So, maybe it's nothing, and hopefully it's nothing, but just with the date, 11/3, all that, we felt that it would be a good thing to come out and just talk about this. And so, recognizing the symptoms of radiation sickness as well. I mean, it's a good thing for all of us to, read up on this a little bit. So, symptoms of acute radiation syndrome include nausea and vomiting, headaches, confusion, disorientation, fever, overall fatigue. You will also have symptoms that could come through like hair loss, slowed healing of injury, drop in blood pressure, blood in the vomit and the stools as well. And then it gets into other things like we already touched on, having a plan, what you're going to do, where you're going to go, what you're going to take, what you're going to leave if you're bugging. Disaster kit. Purchase a decontamination kit as well. And there's a link here for one. Safe house, and being totally sealed in. External decontamination, internal decontamination as well. Potassium iodide. And you got to have your Geiger counter, which if you guys could hear the clicking. So we have ours here. We're at 33 CPM. So, it's nothing. It's normal here anyway, even though some of the areas out west are definitely not at normal levels right now. And this is another link to 10 things you must do to survive nuclear war. And let's hope that never happens. Be such an atrocity, and it's when I was listening to the history with what really happened with Germany and all the tech, and they were talking about Hiroshima, Nagasaki, and thinking about who could really do that? What if they just detonated those bombs out in the middle of nowhere just to show them how powerful it was instead of incinerating them? And so they were talking too about how the Nazis were testing them, and basically using people as test subjects and seeing that there's nothing left of them when they were testing, their versions of the nuclear bombs. Scary stuff, and I have a hard time believing any humans could do that. But I guess we're not all put together the same way. And so Vladius Maximus is looking for a nice cave for sale. Well, I do know one. It's not too far from here. I think it's only maybe 200 square feet, so it's kind of tight, but it's kind of deep. It would definitely help in a wind event anyway.
Yes, it's Village Idiot Bear says bucket and kitty litter. That's brilliant, actually. That would work. And you guys are hilarious. I'm just watching these guys in the chat. You guys are so cute, talking about bikes and and stuff like that. It's good to see that, yeah, we do have something that could potentially be serious, but you guys are still, don't step into fear. Don't give them the loosh. Don't let them feed off of you, because that's what we are. We are food for them. And also it was Fred said, Fred Deo. Hi, Fred. How you doing? Fracking into radioactive magma. That's curious, with the fracking going on. So there's like 100 different possibilities that could be happening. We're not for sure. We don't know. We just want to keep an eye on it, and the best thing we can do is stay in high spirits, stay in good spirits, and don't let fear get a hold of you. But this is something that I think it should be looked at. And then Mr. MBB also, somebody wrote in here that he said it could be the meteors maybe coming in. That could be it too. So yeah, there's a lot of stuff that could be happening.
If we're looking at the KP index, that's not elevated right now. So that looks calm. If I get back to that. Space weather. So
people just coming in, if you're curious what's going on, we went to this website and we put a link in there, and there's just radioactivity is spiked in certain places on the West Coast, which is really curious. We don't know what it is. We don't know if anything has actually happened. We're just sort of kind of trying to figure it out ourselves, and we wanted to go live this morning anyway, so we thought, well, this would be a good thing to talk about. Right now we're looking at space weather conditions, Space Weather Prediction Center.
Oh yeah, and we had somebody saying about
Schumann.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Actually, it's gone calm right now.
Mm-hmm.
We've had a huge spike yesterday. So far today, it really hasn't been too active. Not exceedingly active. 32, we were up like crazy. It was like 98 or something. It was huge over here yesterday. So that's currently relatively quiet. Let's take a look at heart math, because this is another place where you could check the Schumann, like Mr. MBB's links come over here. Alright, this is getting into where's the actual readings here again.
So really quick, Patriot Pep, thank you so much. I don't know why you can't send a super chat, but if you guys want to sign up on Patreon, that would be super awesome. And Ko-Fi, that would really, really help the channel, and we can keep doing what we're doing.
So yeah, this is our Ko-Fi, which would be like, you could do a one-time over here. And what's beautiful is Ko-Fi doesn't really take a percentage of anything. As some people weren't aware that YouTube generally takes 50% is pretty much what they do, and that's Google, which is Alphabet, is a parent company. So that's our Ko-Fi, and then Patreon as well if you wanted to support there. Just like what happened with the 2 videos the other day, this is kind of what they do. The videos usually get 90% of their views in 24 hours time, probably 90 to 95% typically. So both of them were demonetized for 24 hours, and then they were made green. So basically, it makes it so that you don't get anything off the videos, and that's what's been happening more and more. It's just kind of one of the tactics that they use. Here we see the Schumann. Oh, interesting. Temporarily unavailable.
Oh, that's really curious.
Yeah, that is. Now that is actually measuring it from like 5 different locations: South Africa. I think there's a location in New Zealand as well as Canada. There's like 5 different locations, or 6. There's 6. So we can see it's different in different places. All right, let's take a look at what do we have here. Any live data?
Buffy says we did. Sorry, Buffy, I'm holding the mic. I wasn't holding it close enough to him.
Yeah, no, there's nothing really going on there as currently. Let's see if they'll give us data over here. Okay, we can see the spectrogram. And so these are different locations. And again, this is not really out of the ordinary. The biggest activity right now is in South Africa. So you can see New Zealand and Canada, Lithuania, Saudi Arabia, and California. And this is the global consciousness. This is really interesting too. So coherence, and like when these big events come, you see spikes in the consciousness of the planet spikes right before a big event, like a day or so. So the biggest spike here was around Halloween. Maybe that was everybody just getting excited for Halloween. We don't see a spike right here. So it's interesting. I don't see anything that points to this being anything. Well, not giving us any explanations.
No, they're not giving us any explanations. So we're sort of kind of here on our own to use our imaginations, which can get dangerous and scary. But I remember the show that I watched about What the Bleep Do You Know? And it did talk about the consciousness raising up, the numbers raising up right before 9/11. So we didn't see that there. Right now, all we have is what we have. And yeah, I mean, I think zero explanation is kind of lame. But, we have each other, and we can bounce ideas off of each other. And I know there's been a lot of really, really awesome suggestions in there about, what to do when the radiation bumps up, about, iodine. And then also people say, well, depending on your thyroid, you got to be careful with iodine. And then there's also, you can eat seaweed. I think there's plenty of things we can do to stay safe. But our biggest tool right now is to monitor.
Most definitely. And so, again, I don't think this is Fukushima related. It doesn't seem to make sense. There's no elevated levels over by Japan at all. And if it was, when we see it all up and down the coast, and, we don't see it at all in some areas. We see over through here, this is all elevated, and over through here you have a cluster. If it's radiation from space, why is it not hitting anything over here as well? Is it hitting peaks, really, really high elevations? Well, yeah, Grand Junction, Colorado is probably a high elevation. However, Phoenix is not super high. I think Phoenix is like not even 2,000 feet. So I'm curious just to check that, because most definitely the higher up you are, you're going to be exposed to more radiation and gamma rays. And so, yeah, Grand Junction, Colorado, I wouldn't be surprised if this is pretty high. Let's see here. What does Wiki say? $4,593 feet. But then, Phoenix is elevated. And let's see what the elevation, 1,000 feet, 1,086. So Phoenix is not, higher up. So how do we explain those, spikes? Because I know some of the areas over here are not super high either. That 481 spike there, and the Let's see, that's 201, 327, El Paso. El Paso's not really high up either. It's, unless, this reading is in one of the locations just, to the west of where El Paso is, or to the north. There's some pretty good sized ranges, but I drove through here not too long ago, and, you got some elevations that get up over through here around 3,000 to 4,000 feet. But I don't think it's that either. So why are these readings elevated in these areas? I don't know. That's curious. 430 over in Spokane.
Spokane, yeah.
Sorry, guys.
It's okay. He's got me now, guys. I got this. Yeah. So I lived in, well, by the Canadian border, and right near Coeur d'Alene. Beautiful country. Beautiful, beautiful country. So
Elevation 1800. So it's not because of the height at all. So I don't know why these areas are elevated. I don't know why. San Francisco 280, which is basically the high reading that they've had. So, it's just something I thought, we should let people know, just in case. Just in case.
just in case, I think it's fair. We stumbled on it this morning, and I really wanted to go live anyway because I love connecting with you guys. And this is it's a point of interest. It's very curious, and I hope it's just cosmic rays. I'm sure that's it. And it's just nothing major is what I'm thinking.
Well, we're hoping.
We're hoping.
The fact is, we don't know. It really, we don't have the answers. I'm wondering if it's, any sort of movement. Now, Jackie is talking about radiation, the magma chambers, movement under the ground. Yeah, it's interesting. I wonder what Dutch's take would be on that as well. We've been waiting, and we do see maybe a little bit of activity in some of the volcanoes over here that we were talking about the other day. And of course, there's volcanoes all through here too. I mean, that are inactive right now, and some have been inactive for a long period of time. But perhaps they will be waking up as well. And so, we showed you this. This is the animation that goes from the last 48 hours. So the readings do change. And right now we basically have, the most elevated readings that we've seen, at least in, these 48 hours. And I've looked at this map before, and I can't remember seeing such elevated numbers in so many spots before. So, very curious. And I gotta wonder. I keep getting that feeling. I gotta wonder about, is it waste or some sort of radioactive material on the move? Almost. I don't know. It's curious, for sure.
Well, if it's as above, so below, then maybe there is some interesting stuff going on up in the cosmos, and maybe we are getting upgrades. That's the line of thought that I want to hold. It could be so many things. I guess it's a little irritating that there's no explanation. They throw this map up here and they tell us, okay, well, these are the bad things and these are the good things. And well, then what? Why are there high ratings? Why? What's going on? It would just be really nice if somebody could elaborate as to what's going on exactly. So I don't know. I kind of like the idea that that it is a cosmic thing, and we are getting upgrades, and everything's gonna be okay. But you never know. I mean, it could be something ugly too, and then we have to be prepared for that. I think just no fear, be prepared. Um, yeah, it's really curious. I'm just really glad to have everybody here this morning. It's so nice to connect with you guys. It just feels so good.
Yeah, there's several people talking about this being, could this be airborne? Could this be something that is being dispersed via the air? That's an interesting thought, and that could explain the randomness of why certain locations are and certain aren't. So that's a really interesting thought, for sure. Curious, most definitely curious. I don't know. I'm always suspicious, but that is just me. Always suspicious about these things. Very, very curious. So, yeah, the Schumann's not going off. We're not seeing, like over here, the huge spike that happened like right before 9/11 happened. It doesn't appear like there's anything there like that. So apparently our subconsciousness is not picking up this like imminent event. So maybe it's nothing. Let's hope it's nothing. Again, you always want to hope for the best and plan for the worst. You know, looking at KP index, that's calm right now. You know, so I'll add a couple of these links that we pulled up to the live, so you guys will have those as well.
Yeah, so it's just something that spiked, and I really, I really want to believe that it's as above, so below, and it's something cosmic, and we are getting upgrades. I know I've had a lot of things change, like with my anxiety. Sometimes it's unbearable, and then other times I feel so good. I don't know what to do with myself. It's almost seems unfair that I feel so good sometimes, but and I think that is part of the changes that we're going through.
So Village Idiot Bear says, my brother has been mentioning a strange taste in his mouth for the last 4 or 5 days in Seattle, so that's curious too. Yeah, so much of the water tastes horrible. Even when you go ahead and, purify it, sometimes it still tastes kind of crappy lately.
It tastes crappy. They say they put minerals in it for taste, but I don't trust them. So I do like to distill the water and then add my own minerals to it.
Mm-hmm. Most definitely. And so Calvin says that, okay, oh yeah, the taste, yeah, we're all talking about it. Chewy water. Yeah, Indiana. Jay Griffin, you had a seizure last night. You're in the Pacific Northwest. Is that something that you regularly suffer from? Calvin says bitter like wormwood. Radiation exposure makes you taste metal, Hidden City Prepper says. And Stephanie, you're up in the Pacific Northwest as well. What are you seeing up that way? So Rue says, if radiation's in the heavens, wouldn't this just mean the veil is lifting? It depends on, what's causing it. If it's man-made, if it's natural. Okay, so a nuclear power plant in Tamil Nadu was hacked. That's scary. So Village Idiot Bear, I was dizzy for the last 9 days. No joke. Yeah, a lot of people have been feeling all sorts of different things. Okay, Jay Griffin never had a seizure before a year and a half ago. Docs find nothing. Well, I hope you're doing okay. And so, Kathy Curtis says Eureka's been sprayed heavily for weeks now. They did a lot of spraying in Phoenix this morning. My friend Dave there said he sent me some photos. And he said it was the heaviest spraying he's seen in a long time. So I wonder if they know again. Well, of course they know. they just don't share all these things. So is that why they're spraying more now in certain areas? Because they know something's up? Yeah, I think everybody has had ringing in the air. Wolf YT says, worst air quality ever in New Delhi, India. And power outages for no reason. Well, we know about all the power outages in California with the fires going on. Well, welcome new subscribers. We're glad you guys are joining us. Make sure to click the bell so that you get all the notifications.
Thank you. Thank you, Patriot Peps. We appreciate it so much. It's very nice. Very, very nice. Yeah, so it seems like a lot of people are having these ascension symptoms, and that's what I'm chalking it up to these days, is ascension symptoms. They're very curious. Yeah, I don't know what to make of this thing here today. Actually, it just came up, so we thought we would come on live and cover it, and we did the last 48 hours, and it has, the radiation spikes have come up in the last 48 hours. It's not like they were always there. They just sort of kind of showed up, and we're not sure exactly what's going on, but we wanted to come in and cover it for you guys. Yeah, the fifth world frequencies to get us back in our original blueprint. The ancient frequencies are much more common now, but we have to have spikes once in a while for now. Yeah, I guess that's what it feels like. Little things, spiking in my body. I'm so hypersensitive to everything, and I can feel the energies. It's crazy.
So yeah, thanks for the tip. And you can see over here in the DC area, there's a spike that's very high over here as well. I did see one blip show up before on the NETC somewhere over in this area, so that might be it. It's putting the puzzle pieces together. And I mean, there were those that knew 9/11 was going to happen, those that read the PNAC documents, Project for a New American Century. So you see a spike over here as well, between Kennewick and Richland. And showing over here Denver and Albuquerque. So interesting. This is under URAD monitor as well. Very curious what's going on. Yeah, this is all pretty much new for me. I mean, I've looked at this site before, and as I said, I mean, I would come here and check it, especially when I was in North Carolina, because we had so many. We were surrounded by nuclear power plants. Where we were, and so very curious. Because like over here in South Carolina, I lived in Columbia, South Carolina. And there is a nuclear power plant over there that they've had a leak at a couple of times, and that's not good.
Good day. Do you have any links to those other sites? We'd be curious to definitely parallel those and see what we have going on. Oh my gosh. Thank you so much, Hidden City Prepper. In high radiation areas, if no iodine pills, drink apple juice or put pectin powder in your drink. Helps absorb less radiation. Thank you so much.
See, that's one of those things that I forgot. I forgot that. And gosh, somebody else told me about that when I was over in North Carolina. I totally forgot about it. But thank you for bringing that up, and thank you for your support as well. Very true. Apple juice. Yep. Yeah, the pectin. That is another good tool. So, I mean, if you have apple juice in storage as well, it's not a bad idea. And as we have shared with you guys, it takes us about 5 hours to go grocery shopping because we're so far out in the middle of nowhere. So we do it very, very Well, we try to make sure we don't miss things.
Well,
So,
yeah.
so we'll be adding some apple juice to the mix.
We will. Thank you so much for that. You guys are really awesome. That's why I love getting together with you guys, because we all throw information at each other, which is a really healthy thing to do. And in this day and age, it's hard to get together in person. But we do have the internet. It's a wonderful, wonderful tool. And I am super grateful for all of you guys that came out this morning. Thank you for coming on in. Really appreciate it a lot.
So Raven's talking about, it's interesting that those that are on fault lines are elevated. Even the one in Maine is by a volcano that had a quake last week.
Really, that's curious. I always wondering where the if we could overlay some kind of map with like the ley lines or the fault lines to see if that has anything to do with anything, because that's really curious. We might look into doing that later today. Might figure out how to do that. That would be very interesting, I think. The other thing is, it's not happening overseas. So didn't we take a look overseas? And everybody over there is like happy. They're all, in the normal range. Yeah. And it's only...
You could probably find it in Europe too.
Yeah.
I wonder if you could find... I haven't researched this before, but, I'll see if there's...
Hi, Lisa. Is this happening anywhere else in the world or just the U.S.? Well, the U.S. seems to be standing alone in this a little bit. There's a little bit over it. Was it in Japan or... we seem to be getting it. But, I was wondering if there's other sites out there that we could compare to, because I don't want to rely on just one resource. It's nice to get 3 or 4 if possible. If anybody has any links in there to other resources so we can check it, that would be really cool if you could throw it in there. And I know the weather has been a lot colder than normal for some places, like in Montana.
So if you guys remember, I was showing you some of the readings. And so, like, if we look over here, let me go in here. All right, so some of the places that were more elevated, you have 369 Albuquerque, 482 South Valley, New Mexico, 330 El Paso, Texas, 452 in Spokane, and where we have here 398 in Reno. So if we're looking at this is Europe. This is all Europe. In between 3 and 500, there's one place reading. Between 3 and 500, only one location. So between 2 and 300, there's 30. But between 3 and 500, of which I just showed you, about 5 of them, 5 or 6, over in the U.S., there's only one, and that's over here. And where is this? Well, we're over around the Ukraine. So that's the only location in Europe that's reading as elevated as probably about 6 in the U.S. So what does that make you guys think? What do you glean from that? Do you glean anything from that?
Great. Scott's asking, at what level is it dangerous? It starts getting dangerous at over anything over 50. According to this, 51 to 99 is medium level. So we have this little card here, and it shows us medium, but it also shows on the website too what is dangerous. So I don't know, did it show what was dangerous, or did it just show the level?
Yeah, it shows the various levels, but it goes from over 100 is basically cause for concern, and then over 1,000 is get out of the area immediately. So yeah, I didn't see anybody saying anything about what to do if you're at 4 or 500, which we have some locations here in the U.S. getting that reading. So does that mean, best? It did say elevated levels of cancer are possible if you're exposed. I think it was like 80 days or something like that, which this doesn't. It hasn't stayed this elevated in the past that I've noticed. So.
No, it hasn't. So it's all very curious. I'm going to be curious to watch how this pans out for today and tomorrow, and keep an eye out on this much closer from this point forward. And, someone also mentioned that the air from the Fukushima comes into the West Coast like every 3 days. So I wonder if there's a pattern.
And you can see like the readings in Japan, Well, this one's 278, so this is pretty high. And, apparently these little icons are not working properly because that's supposed to be a green, being it's a go, but in actuality, it is pretty high. So, but, would the radiation from Japan, would it come so randomly? Maybe air patterns? Is that why it would drop on in and be so concentrated in New Mexico and El Paso, which, it's like 1,000 miles inland from, the sea there. So I don't know. I really don't know what we're looking at here, but, just elevated numbers. A lot of them seem to be very close to their all-time highs. So I guess we will kind of take from it what we will. All right, Raven says 250 to 500 is iodine for troops and 6-hour rotations. And that's for concentrated exposure. So if you get readings like that, then they would be given iodine to people. So, like we had those readings. Again, South Valley, New Mexico, 482 currently. 330 El Paso. 193 in Carlsbad. 482, 312 up in Idaho Falls. And yet only 35 in Rexburg. So, again, why do you have the disparity in these readings as well? I don't have an explanation for it, guys. It's just curious. 346 in Portland. So, from what Raven was saying, 250 to 500 for a prolonged period of time, they do in the military give out iodine. So how long will this spike like that? Don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. That's why we're going to keep an eye on it. And, if you guys have access to a computer or something, it would be... Oh my. Oh, hi, Bruno. Thank you so much. Turpentine for parasites, apple vinegar, honey plus garlic. Hi, Stack Stevenson. Yeah, turpentine. There's a way to take that, the turpentine. But it does help with parasites. And thank you so much, Bruno. It's great to see you here today. Wonderful to see all of you. Wow. Chris P is dark today, even with the time changed. Yeah, I'm sorry it's dark there. It's like the sun, it's really bright here. The sun is always here.
Yeah, it's blue skies. I would have to estimate 300, maybe 30 days of the year here, probably, if not more.
Yeah.
So, and today it's not as chilly as it's been. Yesterday actually got to be a little bit on the hot side. Getting used to the desert. I mean, I love seeing trees, and I love seeing the water, but at the same time, it feels very safe here. You never know what's going to happen. You never know, but
there's a lot of military around here, so I wouldn't think that they would make this their home if it was a dangerous place to be. I could be wrong, but yeah, I think though the sunlight for you really needed it because you were like almost a year without.
Yeah, if I'm in an area with a lot of clouds, like I really want to see the Pacific Northwest and do a lot of exploring up there. But, that area is so similar to North Carolina's mountains in that there's so many rainy days, and I like the sunshine. But, it's something to see the lush, forests. They're gorgeous. All the trees and the mountains. Beautiful.
Thank you so much, Bruno. I send love to all you beautiful souls. You send another 1111. Thank you so much. And Bruno has a channel, Bruco, and he covers a lot of interesting things. I just love his channel, and I love his voice. He has like the most sweetest voice, and I really, really hope you guys will go over there and sub to his channel because he's a super, super wonderful person.
Thank you, Bruno. Definitely a brother. And yeah, okay. So high frequency, you're in Vegas. You say, I miss the Midwest, but can't beat the Vegas weather. Yeah, it's one of those things. If you could be mobile, like I was telling Cindy, I wouldn't mind spending the summer in Santa Fe and, spending the winter a little bit warmer. But, mobile's good. And that's why I've really always kind of wanted to do the RV thing and really just be able to just go anywhere at any time. And that's a beautiful thing. Many people are doing it as well. And, we might think we have the perfect bug out location. And maybe, we're going to end up having to shift and move at some point. We just don't know because, the floods that we've seen, the storms that we've seen, Earth Aid concert, he was right down there. He saw what Hurricane Michael did, and he said it looked like it was a nuclear war zone, absolute nuclear war zone. And then we saw what happened to the Bahamas. I always thought I want to live in a tropical paradise like that, but I wouldn't live on an island now. I really wouldn't. I'd have a hard time with it. I'd still probably go visit an island and cross my fingers. But we've just seen so many weird things, all those amazing storms that pop up out of nowhere. And we have seen tsunamis and meteor tsunamis that are wind driven. And some people are very suspicious about those things as well. Mars Fugel says, don't miss the $300 to $400 AC bills. Yeah, it's all relative. I know here it's not that much. I think it's about $100.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's not too bad here. It's around $100 now. I have heard in Vegas they've gotten up to $500-$600 for AC. It's ridiculous there. $900. It gets pretty bad.
But that's the way it is. They like when you go over into California and you're paying so much for gas, so much for everything. They just they figure if you're living in a certain area, they're going to charge more. And they do. They really, really do. I mean, look at San Francisco, how expensive things are up in San Francisco. It's crazy. So Jay Griffin says, where is here? We're basically in very close to Death Valley. And we're in the desert. And most of our time, we've been in Nevada, but also in Arizona and popping over to California as well. So, yeah, thank you, brother. David.
Thank you so much, David. We appreciate that a lot. You guys are super awesome. Thank you.
Much love. And so, I got to do a video just on what David can do because he has got one of the most greenest thumbs ever. He could probably support the whole EEA family on like 5 acres of land. I mean, he could probably support all of us with the way he could grow food. And, there's so many techniques to that as well. Saving seeds. We were talking about saving seeds before. How many people actually think to save seeds anymore? It'll be a precious skill, and it should be something that we do regularly. If the shit does hit the fan, saving seeds will be something that we have to do. And so Enoch Metatron's mentioning the second channel. And, I really honestly love it because it feels, over there is basically, it's kind of happier stuff. So it's a lot of spiritual stuff. And so if you guys are interested, I'd love to have you come join us over here and subscribe and click the bell. It's been growing steady. we cover basically spiritual topics, and it's a little bit more upbeat and positive, in that we don't get into survival and prepping and all the natural disasters. I just figured, it was good because there's a lot of people that honestly don't want to hear about the disasters, and they don't want to be exposed to it, but they like the videos that were, more upbeat and uplifting. So I decided to, instead of having a backup channel, make it more of a separate channel for people that don't want to, again, see what's happening as far as the floods and the tsunamis and the earthquakes and all that, but just want to still get the spiritual stuff and the more uplifting stuff. So the things we cover over here is esoterica, like uncovering the mysteries and secrets, transformation and ascension, natural health and wellness and fitness. And what's really going on, there's 24 videos there that I put up when it was the backup channel, Evolutionary Energy Arts 2. And so I just left them there. But going forward, the videos that go here will be under these things, like natural health, wellness, fitness, talking about things like fasting, and also on QiGong and along those lines, transformation and ascension, and then all the deep hidden mysteries. So I hope you guys will subscribe over there as well. It does have a little bit of a different vibe than the other channel, than the main channel. And we will be doing some lives over there as well when we go forward. So I want to thank you guys for your support there. Schumann is stable. Yeah, it's interesting, because boy, was that a huge spike that we had in the Schumann. Huge spike the other day. And this is one of the best resources here. It's out of Disclosure News. So this was massive. Massive. But we're kind of calm now. We're kind of quiet right now. So it's interesting to see. And as we look over here, yeah, I'm not sure how often they update these readings. And we were talking about, the potential for a false flag event over in Seattle. Seattle's at 105. So, will we see anything? Or is this going to be another date that comes by that, was predicted and nothing happens?
Yeah, that could be it too. Preferably I prefer that happen. And, I think, not to brag or anything, I think I've been through like 7 end of the worlds and stuff. So I totally stopped looking at dates. But, you just never know. So it's good just to keep an eye on it and be safe. And most of all, really just stay happy. Don't let this rule your life. Keep doing what you're doing. Exercise, eat right. I think that's our best defense to this whole system, is to get healthy. Just really get out of this system as much as possible. I know I really had them do a number on me for many, many years, keeping me on prescription medications and stuff because of my emotions can be quite strong, but I didn't understand what they were for, and I understand what they're for now, and they're, to be respected. You're an end of the world champ, Cindy. Yeah, we all are. We just don't want people to panic, but it's a worthy mention. We should absolutely mention it. You guys are like super awesome, and if you could go over and sub to the channel, that would be great, because the censorship has been very nasty. Very, very nasty.
Most definitely. And again, anybody that's interested in joining us over on Patreon, would love to have you come and join us on Patreon. There's some videos that go up there that don't go on YouTube. And so, like this one right here. Who is truly in control of your health, and what is the agenda? So there's some stuff that we just can't really discuss so much on YouTube, as we've explained before. So this one's not up there. It's basically on Patreon. So typically there'll be a Patreon only video every day or two. And so there's quite a few ones that are up there that are not over on the YouTube channel at all either. So I encourage you guys to come join us over there as well. And I'm going to be putting up different tiers as well over there, and we'll get into detail explaining that as well. So I want to thank you guys for joining us, and we're going to do lives on a regular basis as long as we are able to. We'll try to do more lives. The interaction's great, and we get to share a lot of info. And
I love to interact with you guys, so I've been nagging him a little bit to do more lives because it's really fun. I just love seeing you guys. It's awesome. It feels so good.
Yeah, and thank everybody for sharing as well. I mean, you're sharing great stuff, and this is how we learn. This is how we learn from each other and keep moving forward. So, my friends, as always, God bless. Stay safe out there and stay alert. And if anything happens, any big things come up, we'll come live again.
Yeah, we're on it. We're on it.
Namaste, my friends.
Namaste, you guys.